So we took a vote today, keep paying, to see who wanted to do this job. Oatmeal in the floor. And not anybody would take the job because they all somehow thought that I wouldn't approve of what they did. You think is that a possibility? Would anybody, like, would I disapprove? So I'm stuck doing sprinkles.
Mr. Sprinkles.
So as soon as we get done sprinkling and painting this floor, then I'll be done yelling at Chad, and then we're gonna go feature an FJ60 that is just super, super cool. It is all business, and it's getting ready to leave today to go to Montana, and then all the way back down into Mexico to go javelina hunting, and so it's gonna be a good episode. Stay tuned. And so we're going to feature this Land Cruiser right here, which is a 60 series on an 80 series chassis, which you've seen we've been doing a lot of. And this car is actually leaving today on a big long road trip, which I mentioned. So of course there's lots of last minute inspections, and this one actually came right down to the wire. We basically just finished this vehicle, and the client's coming to get it, which is always exciting for us. And so you're going to meet him, but we'll let them finish up their inspections and what they're doing. We'll go look at some other ones. He put the shield up and now he can't see us coming. Oh, Truman, dead giveaway. So I mentioned that we do this a lot. There are actually 3 other vehicles in the shop right now that are going on 80 series chassis. 2 60 series, an FJ60 and an FJ62, and also a 40 series that's going on an 80 series chassis. So in this episode, I'm gonna try to explain why we go through all this trouble. So this 80 series frame has already been shortened for a 60 series body. And as you can see, it's been stripped down just to a rolling chassis. After this, after the new body is fitted and the engine's mounted and all that stuff will happen, we'll go ahead and tear this apart and do a restoration on all of the components. Alex is doing his favorite part and my favorite part too, which is getting it ready for the new body. You can see where he shortened the frame. Now he's welding rock slider, removable rock slide mounts onto the side of it. Later, the body will be removed from the 60 and set down on top of this for body mount configuration and fabrication. And then it's go time, right? So what do you get from an FJ80 chassis? You get a lot of stuff. You get much higher tech suspension than leaf springs. Coil suspension, front and rear, separate coils and shocks. A 3-link in the front with a high pinion axle that's a little bit wider and stronger than the 60 series axle. And then you get a 4-link, or some call it a 5-link rear suspension. Also nice cushy ride, coils and separate shocks. And it's also a full floating rear axle, which is cool. That's stronger than a 60 series, or at least a US one. And it's got disc brakes in the back. So a big disc brakes in the front, disc brakes in the back, a better suspension, and also better steering for that matter. The 60 series steering box is a little bit smaller than the 80 series. The 80 series has got arguably better geometry, and so all those things combined together means there's a lot of bang for the buck in putting anything on an 80 series chassis. So you got to move fast if you want to get any of this stuff happening, because Alex processes these really, really quickly. But yesterday, he had this frame cut in half right here. We cut the frame in half in the middle of the front suspension mount because that's just a good place to have an automatic fish plate or a reinforcement plate on the outside. And so he's got this, it was 5 1/4 inches longer yesterday. He cut it kind of at an angle, slid it back together. He's got it welded all back up, and then he's fabricated this, we call that a fish plate, which is just a support brace on the inside that laps over the middle of the seam. So like I said, 5 1/4 inches shorter already. Then right now what he's welding on are these rock slider mounts. So this is a really cool way to make removable rock sliders that you can powder coat and then bolt on afterwards. Lots of our rock sliders are welded on, but that means you have to deal with them when you're raising and lowering in a body. And when you're doing something like this and you have to build all custom body mounts, the rock sliders are always in the way, right? So this is a really cool way to do that. Plus, this extra thick frame plate reinforces the frame so that the sliders are stronger if you're actually using them to support the weight of the vehicle. So let's leave Alex alone to keep going, but DJ's working on a super similar project, so let's go over there. So DJ's working on a different one of these. This is an FJ62 on an 80 series chassis. It's got some differences, which I'll show you, but right now DJ's doing something that we have never done before. What is it?
So on this 62, the customer decided that he wants factory bumpers, and this being an 80 series frame, we of course have to make custom mounts to mount the FJ62 bumper on there. So I'm currently making all those and getting them welded onto the frame.
That looks very similar to the mount that holds the 62 bumper on a 60 frame.
Yeah, pretty close to it. Made them a little bit different in order to fit the 80 frame, but overall it's been a pretty simple job at least.
And it looks like you've had to elevate the hook position a little bit.
Yeah, in order to fit the hook and get everything looking about right, the 80 frame's a little bit different spot. We have about a 2-inch body lift with these new body mounts for the 62 frame. So everything's had to go up quite a bit. So it's all just a little bit different than what we're used to, but it's fun custom work, so I'm happy doing it.
DJ loves doing this. I'm gonna show you some of the other cool things he's built on this truck. So DJ said body lift, and we didn't actually install a body lift on this, but what he means is that the body can't sit down as low on the 80 series chassis as the 80 series body would have, mainly due to just the configuration of the floor of the body. So if you look right here, you can see that they've set this piece of 3/8 flat stock on the frame, basically just as a shim to set the tolerances or to hold this body up about the right amount so that you don't have any place where the body is contacting the frame solid. And that's just there to mock all the body mounts up, which we've done. So they built body mounts, all custom. The entire set of body mounts is custom and I think really, really cool, very OEM looking. And then later this body will be lifted off. This shim will of course be tossed and all the body mounts will be fully welded. But you just can't get the body as low as you would on the 60 series frame or as the 80 series body was on here. And so that's why the body sits a little bit higher. What's cool about that is you can run the factory suspension if you want to up to a 33-inch tire. So you don't have to have a suspension lift to run a 33 on a 60 series on an 80 series chassis. Pretty cool setup. So another thing the DJ did is really cool. I was talking about the upgrade on these 100 series seats. 100 series Land Cruiser seats fit so well in a 60 series. And, even though they're a pain to mount, you know, our standard 8-inch Tuffy box still fits in the middle. 100 series seats are already power, 7-way power, and they're leather. You know, we're gonna change all that anyway, and they're heated. They're just super comfy seats, a big upgrade. And I really like putting these in more than aftermarket seats, right? Because they seem like they belong a little bit better. So he's mounted these in here. Mounting seats though has to be done right. You've seen that on a Stop It episode. Bad seat mounts are BS. Literally bad seat mounts. Anyway, so he's got a reinforcement plate welded under this body with a nut welded to it, and then the seat bolts to that plate through the floor just like the factory seats did. And then in the front, he's fabricated some different feet for the front of the seat sliders that bolt very close to where the factory seats did. These seats are mounted in a very OEM way, and they look like they should be there from the factory. So this 62 is getting an LS3. I know some of you guys poo-poo on that idea, but it can't be helped. Sometimes this is just the right engine for a vehicle. So lots of fabrication involved with putting an LS3 in anything and doing it well. One of the things that's on this Land Cruiser that we haven't done before, another first, in addition to the factory bumpers, is ABS. So we're using the 80 series anti-lock braking system, which is a big ugly thing. And so DJ's done some cool sheet metal work to cover that up. This area isn't done, but it's gonna be a really nice, almost show car looking engine compartment. He's got some bead roll action on the top of the radiator. I don't know, cool mounts everywhere. Fabrication's like one of the things that makes this fun for me, right? I love to see what these guys come up with. They're very creative. Oh yeah, and I said that we were gonna talk about a 40 series on an 80 series chassis. This is the body. So this is one of those Aqualoo 4-door bodies that's designed to fit right on an 80 series chassis. This is the second one that we've got, but we haven't ever finished one of the builds yet. So this one's getting started, and it's going to be really, really cool. Australian themed, right-hand drive, rhubarb, polished stainless snorkel, all the cool stuff you see on those Australian Land Cruisers. On this one right here, on an 80 series chassis, we'll keep you up to date on that as the project goes along. All right, so you probably recognize this rig if you watch all of our shows. This is an FJ60 that we restored a couple of years ago, and it went to Louisiana, and the customer had it and loved it and drives it around all the time. He uses it a lot, but wasn't happy with the ride quality. So the frame that you just saw Alex working on is actually for this previous restoration. We're gonna take this body off. We're gonna go ahead and do the underside of the body because this was a stage 2 restoration, so it didn't get that treatment. So now it's gonna become a stage 3 on the 80 series chassis. But anyway, that's how much bang for the buck. I mean, it's worth it, at least for this client, to go through all this work, ship his rig all the way back, and go ahead and upgrade the suspension on the 80 series chassis. So we'll probably just re-feature this, right? When it's done, you'll get to see this one again. You know what else is gonna be unique about this is we'll be putting this 2F in that 80 series chassis. So it'll be a 2F, H55F, 60 series on an 80 series chassis. Kind of the best vintage and combined with some more modern Toyota DNA. Should be pretty cool to drive. These guys, they said they don't want to work on 80 series chassis rigs. They're just going old school. What are you guys doing?
We're doing a knuckle rebuild with a locker set up and our shackle reversal. Getting this ready for a body tub this afternoon, hopefully.
Super cool project. We'll go in the body shop and check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. This guy, by the way, is the person responsible for our delicious lunch today that you're going to get to see. He had some gourmet barbecue from one of Texas's most famous barbecue places flown in. So we're all really excited for that. They got tables set up. You're going to see his napkins covered in barbecue sauce later. Thanks to this guy right here. Awesome client. Bob, this did not look like this yesterday. It was trashed.
Yeah, just sprinkle a little Bob magic on it and voila.
Voila. So it still looks trashed to probably some people who are watching this. I'll send you a picture of what it looks like.
It's cool.
Yeah, I'll send you a picture of what it looks like.
That's what we're going for.
It is. So this body is the one we were just in there and Roy and Lonnie were putting that chassis together. It's for this body. And this is the guy that set the barbecue too. So he has got this 1978 FJ40 that he grew up with and just loves it. And now we're rejuvenating it, bringing it back to life, but he wants it to look like it always did, right? So, but it had rust and damage and dents and one whole side was caved in. Bob Magic was sprinkled, that got fixed. Now we're doing a fully mechanical restoration with a partial body patina restoration. So that this is the product of that. Bob, tell us what you did.
As far as painting or?
Yeah.
I touched up that quarter, I painted that quarter panel, that rocker panel. Did some touch-ups in that corner. A little bit on the firewall. Now I'm just cleaning it all up so it all matches, I guess.
New but old. It's more than touched up. Let me show you what Bob did. He's being modest. So it's more than just touch up, really. So Atlee did a tremendous amount. First of all, it started with DJ. DJ did a bunch of metal work to this. The whole side was caved in, plus there was rust in the back, so we did a new rear sill. I think we did quarter panels or partial quarter panels, rocker panels, and then Atlee did all the body work. And so what we've done is we have repainted from about here around the back with new metal here and here on the floor. We've repainted this entire quarter panel. We've repainted the entire passenger side quarter panel and rocker. Metal work on the fenders and also repainted some of those. And then as you can see, we've also done the interior floor and the underside of the cruiser with body color Line-X. So this has received almost all of the same treatment as the body off restoration on the body. We just didn't paint all of it. We kept some of the original patina so the vehicle can, just keep looking like it did when it came in. This kind of project is actually pretty cool. It's hard for me to get used to not restoring the entire thing, refinishing every single square inch, but it can't be argued that patina is cool, and this is going to be really sweet when it's done.
Do you ever think we'd have a use for this after we, because I don't think we do 4VTs that much anymore.
Dude, first of all, this is a 4-inch Cobra head. So you know what? I was thinking about this driving here actually. Why did we abandon the 4V?
So do you want me to keep it short?
You don't even know. You're just guessing. Okay. back in the day, now we're R2.8 people, right? You guys know that. But back in the day, we did 4BT swaps, one after another after another. I don't know how many we did, but it was more than 80 4BT swaps. In fact, this vehicle was one of them that we did 15, 16, 17, 18 years ago. I don't even know. Long time ago.
was the top.
Yeah, when Sean was a wee baby.
Oh, it was like 6 or 7.
Were you? Okay, so Sean was 6. We did a 4BT swap in this truck. Now it's back for the restoration. More on that later. But driving here this morning, I was thinking this isn't that bad. I remember it being louder.
Yeah.
Like maybe we should bring the 4BT back. And the 4-inch Cobra.
I mean, you could probably shoehorn at least a common rail. I think that's just the super mechanical everything. I'm not a fan of that personally. I don't think there's much of a market for it. I mean, but there are plenty of people out there, I feel like, who do
to more people than
really.
you think,
Yeah, I'd say there's probably plenty of people. I mean, people are still doing all mechanical small blocks because they're like, I don't like the computer control. So it's like, it's a pretty easy. I mean, there's so much space in the engine bay.
Yeah. You could put another engine, like an electric motor in there.
Oh yes.
Electric over 4BT.
4BT, yeah. And that way we can have a use for the
4-inch Cobra.
Yeah, exactly.
Good thing you're here.
Yeah,
you're always making me think, Sean.
Is that a good thing?
So Jordy does all of our QC stuff, and in the last few minutes or days of every build, he's super busy pouring all over everything. So what have you been doing on this one to make sure it's ready to drive to Montana today?
Well, just what you said, quality control checks, and what that means is all of the safety-oriented items and all of the things that might rub on each other wrong or weren't tied up or routed quite right. Just bringing it to that really, really high level so that this is a long-term, like 30-year vehicle. That's always my goal, is sending out the best we possibly can. And so that's what I work towards in those last couple hours of every single build.
That's right. He's very meticulous, thorough. It's the perfect person for that job. So we're lucky to have him here at the end of every project, both teams going over it.
And I enjoy it. So it's a good mix, good match.
Connor's just doing a last minute tweak to this before we can bring it down and shoot a feature on it. Making a brake line. We had a brake line that was kinked just a tiny bit, not good enough to keep. So new brake line, Connor. What else have you had to do in the last 2 days of this build?
Oh, just finalize a little bit of this and that. Interior mostly.
Connor's very handy
back.
with the upholstery stuff, turns out.
No, I'm not. No.
Oh yeah, we're supposed to pretend he's not because he doesn't really like it. He did the carpet in this rig, the door panels, some of the work with the seats, headliner work. He's basically an interior guy. Except for he's too greasy to actually get in the interior, but he's done. So he gets to...
Looking for an upholsterer though.
Oh yeah, we are looking for an upholsterer. Thank you. Connor also has a memory like a still. He's always reminding me of stuff that I forgot. Yeah, I want a full-time upholsterer here in house. We'll pay for the equipment, set you up at a nice little comfy facility, and hardly ever give you any crap if you come work for us. Yeah, it'll be the best job in the shop. You know, I have had so much fun talking about these 80 series Land Cruiser chassis having FJ60 restorations that I've just let this episode go too long. So we are going to split it into 2 parts. The first part where I jabber on forever, and the second part where we actually get to feature this vehicle. So stay tuned next week on Sunday for part 2 of episode 83 of Proffitt's Resurrection Land Cruisers TV. Thanks for watching this episode of Proffitt's Resurrection Land Cruisers TV. If you've got any questions or requests for things that we could talk about here on this show, just let us know. Thanks for watching. So you saw us painting and you couldn't get to that's where we keep the keys. So Chad.
We made an extension. Roy let me use his magnet and I had to reach in there so we could get our lovely Tundra keys. Works perfect. Isn't that great?
This is why Chad works here. He's a genius. He's a key genius.
Redneck genius.
I'm standing like this because Chad couldn't park the car in here straight, just like he doesn't know how long my arms are. He's like, don't go any further than I can reach.
Okay.